believer that charity begins at home and then it spreads. And then I forgot that part. And so I contributed to the distance in our relationship.
Y'all, this isn't just another celebrity breakup. This is a full-blown betrayal that just shattered everything people thought was real about Tina Campbell and Teddy Campbell. Because the same man who stood beside her on stage, prayed with her, built a perfect gospel love story with her, is now at the center of a scandal that's way darker than anyone expected. But wait, it gets worse. This wasn't just cheating. This was allegedly a double life, hidden relationships, secret moves, and a betrayal that hit way too close to home. We're talking about someone who had access to her house, her kids, her trust. And suddenly, boom, everything starts falling apart. From late nights, to hidden phones, to a truth that didn't just break her heart, it broke her identity. And when the truth finally came out, it didn't just expose him. It exposed everything. The rage, the pain, the emotional crash that followed was so intense, it pushed her into a place nobody ever expected her to go. And just when you think the story can't get any more twisted, after all the forgiveness, after all the fighting to save the marriage, he walked away. Yeah, the same man who broke it, allegedly decided to end it, leaving her with one haunting realization. Was she ever loved, or was she just being used? And trust me, this is only the beginning.
Found out about it when we were taping the show.
The image was perfect. Too perfect. To the outside world, Tina Campbell and Teddy Campbell looked untouchable. Faith, family, loyalty, all wrapped into one gospel power couple that people admired, quoted, and even prayed to become like. But behind that polished image, something wasn't sitting right. There was a shift. Subtle at first. The kind of shift you can't prove, but you can feel. He was there, but not really there. Smiling, but distant. Present, but disconnected. And the more time passed, the more that distance started turning into something colder. Something quieter. Something dangerous. Because sometimes, the loudest problems in a relationship don't start with chaos. They start with silence.
The fact that I've been a contentious wife the entire time I've been married to him, I'm sitting up here running around being
That moment right there exposes the first crack, not just in the relationship, but in the image they were selling to the world. Because while everything looked spiritual and solid on the outside, internally, things were already breaking down. Roles were shifting. Egos were clashing. And slowly, the connections started slipping. What makes this even darker? It wasn't just about him changing. She started realizing she wasn't the same either. And that realization hits differently when you're already standing in the middle of something that's falling apart. Because now it's not just, what is he doing? It becomes, what did I miss? What did I ignore? What did I become while trying to hold this together? And that's where the emotional tension builds. Because while she was showing up for the world, motivating others, speaking faith, representing strength, at home, things were drifting further and further apart.
I got love. I don't need the other kind of love. I'm fine, at least for a little while. You know what I mean? Because I got her. You know what I mean? And so
I'll
he
check
was
in
just,
with you next month.
That line right there isn't just about distance. It's about disconnection. Two people living the same life, but in completely different emotional realities. And once that gap forms, that's where everything else finds space to grow. Doubt, suspicion, questions that don't have answers yet, but won't stay quiet for long. Because when someone starts moving differently, you notice the late energy, the emotional absence, the subtle changes that don't make sense, but feel too real to ignore. And the worst part? Every time she tried to question it, there was nothing solid to hold on to. No proof, no confession, just enough normalcy to make her second-guess herself. And that's where the real damage begins. Because now, it's not just the relationship under pressure. It's her mind, her instincts, her sense of reality. And once you start questioning your own intuition, you're already losing control of the situation. This wasn't a loud collapse. This was quiet erosion, piece by piece, moment by moment, until the version of perfect they showed the world started becoming impossible to maintain. And what nobody realized at the time, this wasn't the worst part of the story. Not even close. Because while things looked like they were just drifting apart, something much deeper, much darker, was already happening behind the scenes. And it was only a matter of time before it came to light. By the time the distance became impossible to ignore, it had already gone too far. What started as a feeling turned into patterns. And patterns don't lie. The late nights weren't random anymore. The energy wasn't the same. The presence felt forced, like someone playing a role instead of living in it. And when intuition keeps whispering, eventually, it gets loud enough that you can't silence it anymore. That's exactly where Tina Campbell found herself. Not with proof, but with pressure. The kind of pressure that builds when your reality doesn't match what you're being told. Because every time she questioned it, everything sounded normal. Everything looked fine. Everything was denied. And that's what makes it worse. Because now you're not just doubting them. You're doubting yourself. But here's where everything shifts. Because sometimes, the truth doesn't reveal itself loudly. It creeps in quietly, through the people watching from the outside. Someone close. Someone observant. Someone who wasn't emotionally attached enough to ignore what didn't make sense. And that's when things took a turn. Because what started as suspicion turned into silent observation. Movements started being noticed. Patterns started being tracked. Things that seemed small at first started connecting in ways that couldn't be ignored anymore. This wasn't guessing anymore. This was building a picture, piece by piece, call by call, absence by absence. And the deeper it went, the clearer it became. Because when someone is living one life in front of you and another behind your back, eventually, those two worlds start colliding. And when they collide, everything breaks.
The person who it was, she used to work for me, and so that broke my heart. She was like a godmother to my children.
That moment right there changes everything. Because now this isn't just about cheating. This is about proximity, access, trust being violated at the deepest level possible. Someone who wasn't just outside the relationship, but inside the home, inside the environment, close enough to see everything, and still be part of the betrayal. And that kind of realization, it doesn't just hurt, it humiliates. Because now every memory feels corrupted. Every interaction feels suspicious. Every moment replays differently. And the question isn't, did it happen? The question becomes, how long was this happening right in front of me? And just when you think it can't get more real, it does. Because confrontation doesn't come with closure. It comes with tension, with fear, with that one question you're not ready to ask. But you have to. And when that question was finally asked, everything stopped. For a moment, time slowed down. Energy shifted. Because deep down, she already knew. She just needed to hear it. Or worse, not hear it.
And he was like, Tina wants to know, and da-da-da-da-da. And I said, are you sleeping with my husband? And she hung.
That silence? That reaction? That was the answer. No explanation. No defense. Just a response that confirmed everything without saying a word. And that's when reality hits the hardest. Because it's no longer suspicion. It's confirmation. And confirmation doesn't just break your heart. It rewrites your entire past. Suddenly, everything makes sense. The distance, the behavior, the energy shifts, the emotional absence. All of it connects. All of it points to one thing: betrayal. But not just betrayal. A layered betrayal. One that involved lies, access, and a level of deception that's hard to process in real time. Because now you're not just dealing with what happened. You're dealing with how it happened, where it happened, who was involved, and why you didn't see it sooner. And that why, that's the most dangerous part. Because that's where the mind starts spiraling, replaying, rebuilding, re-questioning everything you thought was real. And in that moment, you're no longer standing in a marriage. You're standing in the aftermath of something that was never what it seemed. And the truth? It didn't just expose him. It exposed the entire illusion. But what came next wasn't clarity. It wasn't peace. It wasn't even closure. What came next was chaos. Emotional, uncontrolled, dangerously intense. Because when pain reaches a certain level, it doesn't stay quiet. It explodes. And what she did next is where this story goes from heartbreaking to completely unthinkable. What happens after the truth comes out is rarely clean. It doesn't settle. It doesn't heal overnight. It detonates. Because once the illusion is gone, all that's left is raw emotion with nowhere to go. And for Tina Campbell, that emotion didn't just sit quietly. It spiraled. Fast. Out of control. Because betrayal at that level doesn't feel like a mistake. It feels like your entire reality just got ripped out from under you. And when your mind is trying to process something that big, logic disappears. All that's left is reaction. Impulse. Pain looking for somewhere to land. The kind of pain that doesn't ask questions. It just moves. And the deeper it sinks in, the more dangerous it becomes. Because now it's not just heartbreak. It's rage. It's confusion. It's the kind of emotional overload that pushes people to places they don't even recognize themselves in.
I hung up the phone, so I had my answer. So it broke my heart. I destroyed 3 cars. I cut up and crashed up and tried to stab and plotted murders and all kind of crazy stuff because I was angry.
That moment right there isn't just anger. That's a complete loss of control. A breaking point where emotions stop being internal and start becoming actions. And when someone reaches that level, there's no filter, no pause, no logic, just pure reaction driven by pain. Because how do you process something that makes you feel replaced, disrespected, and deceived all at once? You don't. You explode. And the scariest part? It wasn't just about him anymore. It became about everything. Every memory, every sacrifice, every moment she believed was real. All of it now felt contaminated. And when that realization hits, it doesn't just hurt. It transforms you. because now you're not reacting to one betrayal. You're reacting to the collapse of an entire life you thought you understood. And somewhere in that chaos, there was still a voice trying to make sense of it all. A voice asking, do you walk away? Or do you try to rebuild something that's already been broken beyond recognition? Because despite everything, despite the anger, despite the humiliation, despite the emotional destruction, there was still a decision to be made. And this is where the story takes another turn. Because while one side was breaking, the other side was trying to fix it. Or at least, that's how it appeared.
He said, if you don't, I'm going to get you back.
Yeah, I'll make this up to you.
He said,
I broke it.
If you divorce me, I'm going to pursue you till I get you back.
Yeah, I did tell her.
And I was like,
That promise, that persistence, that energy of I'll make it right. It complicates everything. Because now it's not just about what was done. It's about what happens next. And that's where the emotional trap sets in. Because when someone who caused the damage suddenly shows remorse, suddenly fights to stay, suddenly says all the right things, it creates confusion. It creates hesitation. It creates hope. And hope, in a situation like this, can be dangerous. Because it keeps you connected to something that already broke you. So instead of walking away, you start reconsidering. You start questioning your own boundaries. You start thinking, maybe this can be fixed. Maybe this isn't the end. Maybe all this pain means something can still be saved. And that's how people stay longer than they should. Not because the pain disappears, but because the possibility of change feels stronger than the reality of what happened. But beneath all of that, there was another battle happening. A quieter one. A deeper one. The internal collapse. Because while everything on the outside looked like chaos, inside, it was even worse.
I felt too condemned because of all my mistakes. Because I didn't get the last test right. Because I was not an honorable wife to my husband because he pissed me.
That moment reveals something people don't talk about enough. The self-blame, the guilt, the mental exhaustion that comes after betrayal. Because once the anger settles, questions start turning inward. What did I do wrong? What did I miss? Was I enough? And those questions? They don't come with answers. They come with weight. The kind that sits on your mind, clouds your thoughts, and makes you question your worth. And for someone who built their identity on faith, strength, and being a voice for others, that internal collapse hits even harder. Because now it's not just about the relationship falling apart. It's about identity breaking down, confidence fading, purpose feeling distant. And when you're stuck in that space, even getting up, even speaking, even being seen, feels impossible. Because how do you stand in front of people and inspire them when you're barely holding yourself together? And that's the part nobody sees. The silent struggle behind the public image, the mental war behind the smile, the emotional damage that doesn't show up on camera, but changes everything. Because at this point, it's no longer about what he did. It's about what it did to her. And that damage? It doesn't disappear just because someone says, I'm sorry. It stays. It lingers. It reshapes how you see love, trust, and yourself. And the truth is, even when someone tries to fix what they broke, even when they say all the right things, even when they fight to come back, some things don't go back to the way they were. Some things change permanently. And what makes this story even more unsettling is that despite everything, despite the chaos, despite the pain, despite the promises, the ending wasn't what anyone expected. Because sometimes, the person who breaks everything isn't the one who stays to fix it. And that realization, that's where the real heartbreak begins. And just when you think this story has already taken everything from her, it hits one last time. Because after all the pain, all the forgiveness, all the fighting to rebuild something that was already shattered, he walked away. Not quietly, not respectfully, but in a way that leaves more questions than answers. The same man who allegedly broke the trust, promised to fix it, and fought to stay, ended it. Just like that. And suddenly, everything shifts. Because now it's not just about betrayal anymore. It's about what all of it meant. Was the love ever real? Or was it just convenient? Was the loyalty one-sided this entire time? Was she holding on to something that was already gone long before she realized it? That's the part that cuts the deepest. Because it forces a reality nobody wants to face. Sometimes, you don't lose people when they leave. You lose them when you finally see them clearly. And by then, the damage is already done. The time is already gone. The emotional cost is already paid. And what's left behind isn't closure. It's silence. Heavy, uncomfortable, unanswered silence. And now the internet is watching, picking sides, turning pain into headlines. While she's left dealing with the aftermath of a story that never should have played out this way. So the real question isn't just about what happened. It's about what you would do. If loyalty meant nothing, if trust was just an illusion, if everything you believed in collapsed overnight, would you still stay? Or would you finally walk away? Because stories like this don't just expose relationships. They expose truth. And not everyone is ready for that.